All right. It looks like we are live here on Facebook or YouTube, I should say. So let's go ahead and get started here. So if you are here and you are on the chat here, I need you to let me know if you can see me in the chat right here. So go ahead right here. Let me know if you can see me in the chat here so I can get started. Okay, so I know it's early. I know some people, so yes. All right, now I know it's early and I know some people are actually probably headed off to work. You're probably doing something. Hopefully you can listen to this on your mobile device as you're driving to work or whatever you're doing, but it's kind of an important subject. So we're actually going to stick with it and we're going to do this all the way to the letter here just to make sure everybody gets what they're going to get out of this particular hangout here. Now, I see that some people are coming in. Raphael, I got you. All right, what's up? All right, so I got it. So Martel, got you. Evie, I see you. Nana, I got you. And Tair, all right, yes, we can see you. Can you hear me? I just want to make sure you can hear me as far as the feed is concerned. So if you guys have any questions, hey, my people, KA, back on here late last night and up again this morning. I love it. Okay, Iris, I see you. All right, everybody seems to be in the chat. So I like that. We got people coming in. All right, so I love what is going on here as far as the camaraderie, what we are getting out of this as far as information is concerned. And I got to tell you, I am really loving this. So you can see last night I was in the red shirt. Today I decided to put on the tie. So a little snazzy, but you know, I had to dress it up a little bit because I think this is kind of serious. So let's go ahead and get right down to this thing. Okay, so I got to tell you this. Okay. I'm going to talk about bullying, in particular, no bullying or to stop bullying, because this stuff cannot be happening to our children. You see, children do not have coping mechanisms. They don't have a psychological mindset or a background to fall back on to let them know if this happens, then you do this. You see, that's all coping skills are. They're a thing that we can take and fall back on because we've experienced it before, and all of a sudden now we can kind of deal with it psychologically because we have had that experience. It's not scary anymore. There's no fear about the situation because you kind of know what's going to happen, what the fallout's going to be, how life is going to go on after that. Children, they don't have that. And not to say that women, disabled, overweight, adults don't get bullied. They do. I'm just talking about the kids for right now. So elementary school, middle school, high school, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Now, you guys might see this stuff more often than I do because I'm at the college level, so I don't see much of the bullying going on because people tend to work together when they have decided that they are going to go after something that is important to them that will improve their life and kind of change their trajectory. That's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking to get children to pick a trajectory that's going to be more positive rather than a more negative trajectory and get this going. Okay, so that's what we're going to concentrate on this morning. Positive instead of negative. Okay, now let's get down to some of the stuff here. The name of this is bullying when they come back. You see, the first time you encounter a bully, the adrenaline gets to flowing. Sometimes your friends might get picked on too, if you have any friends, okay? But the first time it happens, somebody pushes you down, pushes you into a locker, shoves your head into a toilet, pushes your head up against the wall, something like that. You think it's a one-time occurrence. It happens to some students, so it might not happen again. It's okay. Now, the second time, later in the day, the next week, the same jerks that come down the hallway, you get scared, you get a little fear inside of you, and all of a sudden now they see you and automatically beeline straight for you, the victim, and all of a sudden they're picking on you again, they're hitting you, pushing you down on the floor, knocking your books out of your hand, messing with you in the classroom, okay? Now, why am I so passionate about this? Because I was bullied. You see, the second time when you come back, you realize that this is not going to stop. These people are going to mess with you and keep messing with you until they're tired of it, Or they might just keep on doing it for the rest of your career at that particular school. And that can be hell on earth when you're a little kid and you don't see a way out. See, some parents just say, deal with it. Some parents are working so much, they just don't know it's happening to their children. And some parents do know what's happening and they just don't care. You see, that's the bag we're in today, where parents just don't care. I'm going to tell you something. I went to an elementary school, and I taught at an elementary school in Indianapolis, Indiana. When we had the PTA, Parent-Teacher Association meetings, that the parents were supposed to come and check on the progress of their kids, we had over 350 students that were enrolled in the class. That means over 350 families. Do you know how many people showed up to 4? Okay. We had 4 meetings, 4 per year, all right, 1 per quarter. How many parents do you think showed up to each meeting? 20? 30? 50 parents out of 350, that sounds reasonable. We had one family showed up to the PTA meeting. And that was only 1 meeting. After that, they didn't show up anymore either. So at the rest of the meetings we had throughout the year, no parents showed up. How can you know what's going on in your children's lives if you don't pay attention? You don't participate when they have meetings. You don't talk to your kids when they come home. And when something is wrong with you and you say, what is wrong? And they say, oh, nothing. But their demeanor has changed. You mean to tell me you don't notice that? You mean to tell me you can't empathize or feel when your own child is going through something? Are we that disconnected? Is technology fucking us up to the point where we can't even acknowledge the pain in our child? It's blowing me away. So I need to get some of you all's thoughts on this particular issue. How bad do you think this is? Just put it in the chat. How bad do you think it is that our children are actually going through this much of a psychological hell and nothing is being done about it? Counselors say deal with it. They want to put your kid, when your kid gets beat up, they want to put them on pain medications and Ritalin because they think they're troublemakers. No, maybe they just shouldn't be there in the first place. Maybe they should be at home getting homeschooled. Maybe they should be out at another school where the environment is not as rough. I know sometimes parents are saying, I can't afford it. But when your child is dead or your child commits suicide or somebody beats your child and they're sitting in the intensive care unit, how expensive will it be then? Don't give me this shit about it's too expensive. Your child is never too expensive. You know what happens whenever your child or somebody with something you really want comes up? Somehow you come up with the money, right? Now, I'm not saying go knock off a bank. I'm not saying rob the local liquor store. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying that you'll find a way if it's important to you. All right, so let me know what we got here in the chat. I'm just going to take a little minute and read some of these to make sure, see what we got here. All right. Okay. Yes. Okay. KA says, I'm a teacher who does not tolerate bullying. I love that. Nisi, teach the children to be humble. Yes, and that has to start from a young age. I agree. My son wants to homeschool. I don't know how to do that. Well, you learn how to do it. Homeschooling is not all that difficult, but it does require the parent to become a teacher. And sometimes the parents don't like the intimidation factor of learning all that information and teaching it to their kid because they think they're going to teach it wrong. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. Even if it's wrong, even if you don't know what you're doing, you and your child will learn together. And that will be a better bonding experience than leaving them in a school all day that doesn't care. Okay. So let's see. I love it. Yes, I love it. I wish every child would get homeschooled because I don't like, it's really all elementary school, middle school, high school. It's just indoctrination into a slave camp to where you will be able to follow directions once a boss starts telling you what to do. All right. Now, I've said this in other videos of mine, and I'm going to say it again. I want you to take this from the beginning. When you pop out of your mother's womb, your parents are telling you what to do. When they send you to kindergarten, the kindergarten teacher tells them what to do. When they go to elementary school, their teachers tell them what to do. When they go to middle school, their teachers tell them what to do. When they go to high school, older teachers tell them what to do. And now they get to the ultimate test, which is college, in which they remove the fences from around these institutions. They let them go to these classes. There's a whole lot more work, but the cage that the kids are surrounded are gone. So it's almost like when you put a dog inside of an electric fence, and all of a sudden the dog, when he approaches the fence, gets shocked. So once the shock happens so many times, you know what? The dog knows not to go past the fence. So they've mentally conditioned the dog to do so. So when you take off the collar, even if the dog knows the collar is gone, he will not go past that barrier or that boundary, because he knows that in the past he's been shocked. Same thing happens in school. The kids are in a gate, they're in a fence. I've compared two pictures, a picture of a prison and a picture of an elementary school. They look identical. All right. What's happening? A warden is at the front of the room talking to prisoners who are sitting in rows. Guess what? What's happening in middle school, elementary school, high school? A teacher is standing at the front of the class and the students are sitting in rows. Seems pretty similar to me. So they're trying to assimilate or indoctrinate the kids into doing stuff like pledging allegiance to the flag. Nothing wrong with being patriotic, but why would you pledge allegiance to a piece of cloth? I love America just like anybody else. Wouldn't want to go anywhere else. However, I don't give a damn about a flag. I give a damn about the country. You see, there's a difference. I give a damn about the people in it. All right. And I will not limit myself to the United States. Oh, yeah, I'm from America. America's the best. No, no, no. Humanity is the best. All right. Human beings are the best. OK, if I find a friend who's willing to die and lay down for me in India, guess what? I'm going to do that for them in America. Right. See, you do things for people you got love for. And I'm saying your kids that you should have the ultimate love for and be willing to do anything for them. Don't let your kids be indoctrinated. And if you do send your kids to school, all right, I know they're getting an education, and sometimes it's better or good to let kids assimilate with other kids so you get to know how to interact. And it's not, you don't have this new age computer mindset where kids think that other people are like computer files that you can like swipe left and swipe right. And yes, you are my friend, and no, you're not. So it makes it seem like you can delete people in real life when actually you can't. You see, if you try to delete somebody in real life, you might get punched in the mouth. And see, bullies, they are coming to the forefront, and they're getting more and more, because the more socially inept your kid is, the more likely they are to be bullied. And I did not know that. But when they see, it seems like when bullies see a shrinking violet or somebody who likes to stay to themselves, and they go right towards them, almost like a lion with a gazelle. All right, they're chasing them down, trying to eat them because they know they're running away. But when you stand up in the face of that, guess what? You tend not to get chased. And if you do get into an interaction with a bully, you got to go nuts. You got to fight back. And this is the main point I want to tell you, parents. Don't you ever step in and fight for your child, because that's the worst thing you can do. You just took away a coping skill they could have learned, but you just took that away. Kids have to be able to stand up for themselves. Now, not to say you can't be there, but you can't do it for them. If your child has a test, let them study for the test. You can study with them too, but let them study for the test. If your child is being picked on, let them stand up for themselves. I didn't say let them be killed. I didn't say let them go to school by themselves. I said let them fight for themselves. There's certain subtle ways that we can do this. Okay, now more comments. Let me see here. They're going by fast, so I'm trying to see here. Humanity is the best. Bill, I have to agree. All right, I like that. Liz, that is a great point. The child often gets punished when they fight back. You are dead on. And you know what? It's because the institutions are set up and they're built to be rigid. They're built so that if any altercation happens, there is no reason for the altercation. So either both parties are guilty or no parties are guilty. See, they don't get that. See, that's because they're not paying attention either. So now I'm kind of glad we're in the days where everything is recorded. So actually we can bring that video into the principal's office and say, look, this little boy or girl was pushing my son or daughter's head up against this locker. And I'm not going to stand by. And I don't teach my kids to let people do that to them. And you should have been out there preventing this from happening. But since you didn't, my kid had a right to defend themselves. So no, my son or daughter is not suspended. Principal Johnson. All right. Now, it says here, adults who are bullies, I just feel sorry for. Okay, I have to agree with that. Some adults are actually getting into the cyber thing, and we're actually going to talk about cyberbullying on one of the next days here. So I got about 25 minutes left, so I want to get to just something I want to tell you all personally, and I have never put this out there before. Some of my family members don't even know this about me, but I'm about to tell it right now because hopefully somebody who sees this, it will help them, and it will help them in a very positive way and help them to stand up for themselves. Hopefully their parents will too. All right, now, let's start off like this. When I was in elementary school, I was very smart. And it's not because I was a smart kid. I didn't have a special brain. I grew up in East St. Louis, Illinois. Okay, it's a ghetto-like town. Every other building is burnt out. We only had 2 high schools. Now we only have 1 because they couldn't afford the money to keep both of them open. So now we have 1 big, huge high school with all these inner city kids meshed together and all this good stuff, right? So it's just like if you want to compare it somewhere, it would be like a Flint, Michigan, or a Compton, California, somewhere like Little Rock, Arkansas, where it's a very small town. You don't stop at stop signs or you could get got. You understand what I'm saying? You could get jacked, okay? You don't go down the wrong street because on that street, your car may not come back out, okay? That kind of stuff. So I live in East St. Louis. That's in Illinois. St. Louis, which is across the river in Missouri, St. Louis was for 4 years straight, the highest murder rate per capita for any city in the United States, even above Little Rock, Arkansas. Okay, even above Compton, California. So these are dangerous places, and these are places where you have to make sure. That's why in residential neighborhoods, you will see people literally going 60 to 80 miles an hour down a 25-mile-per-hour street so they don't have to stop and have to deal with anything. That's how bad it is. Okay, so not enough police officers in the world to take care of these kind of problems. All right, but we might need military. But just to give you an idea of the background I come from. Now, I went to elementary school at a school called Miles Davis Elementary School, Miles Davis. And when I went there, I was a smart kid, and I helped the other kids with their homework in study hall, okay? So when we went to classes, students did not know how to do math. They didn't know how to, but I understood the stuff, okay? Because my mom and dad, they went over the stuff with me, helped me with my homework, and then all of a sudden, I became really good at this. Well, coming from an inner city school, other kids, they have mostly 1-parent households, and they were not taught all of this stuff because usually mom was out working and dad was out doing his thing. But it wasn't like dad left. He was just out doing his own thing, and sometimes he just didn't give a damn. Let's be real. But when I was helping these kids, I didn't know who I was helping. I was just helping people, right? And I didn't know what form that would take, okay? But I just did it because I was smart. Other people needed help, so I did it. All right, kind of like now, right? But when I started in elementary school and around the 5th grade, I started encountering a bully. All right, so big, tall dude. And at the time, I'm probably about, what, 4'11", 4'10", and I'm going to school, big old rim glasses, all right, nice little short fro, right? And I'm going to school, and I got my big old book bag I'm carrying around and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, somebody starts picking on me and starts pushing me around, knocking me down. And so every day at recess, I am just kind of scared to go outside because I don't want these people messing with me. Okay, so I'm trying to avoid people and just hang out with my friends and hide behind the girls playing double dutch because I don't want to see these people because I know they're going to mess with me. So a few days I get away with it, and all of a sudden again they catch up with me, chase me down, and then all of a sudden I'm getting pushed into a pole and on the ground being kicked and all this kind of stuff. All right, so of course some of the teachers saw it and they stopped for a week or two, and then all of a sudden back to the same thing. So one day I am walking from recess back down this little outside hallway to get back into the building. And it's just me. And I see one of the guys who is a part of this bully group coming towards me. So I don't have my head up. So I'm just walking with my book bag and I bump into him. And then he says, watch where the fuck you're going, and pushes me, right? We're in the 5th grade, all right? And he pushes me. He looked like he should have been in the 7th grade, all right? He was probably held back a couple of times, all right? But he pushes me up against the fence, and I am scared to death. Okay, so I am not a fighter. I usually am in my books. Nobody ever taught me how to fight. Nobody ever told me how to stand up for myself. Nobody told me I could stand up for myself. So I'm up against the fence. I'm scared to death, and he's looking at me, and he looks like he's about to haul off and just hit me in the face hard just to try to knock me out, right? And I'm sitting there, and I'm trying to block it, and I'm doing all this, right, trying to block it. And all of a sudden, when he pulls his fist back, 3 guys come up and just kick the living shit out of this bully. And I was, what happened? All right. And these 3 guys, they just come in and they're just right on the top of this guy. And then after they finish whooping his ass, right, they tell him, if you ever mess with him again, that'll be the last time you ever mess with him again. And they pull me up and they were like, are you all right? And the man, the dude, the leader of these guys, he's dusting off my pants and he's like, are you all right? And I look up, and the 3 guys that whooped this guy down are actually people that I tutored for math and English. All right, so they were just like, you're a good dude. We know you probably ain't, the toughest guy, but, he ain't gonna never mess with you again. And he let us know if somebody else messes with you because they'll get their ass kicked too. I was like, okay. All right, so then I was walking around, and I like that because even though I told my parents about this, it was just like, it's going to pass. It's going to be okay. Eventually they'll leave you alone. They didn't. And I'm going to tell you this because this is the serious part. Before these guys came along and kind of saved me from my bad psychological thinking, what I was thinking about doing was killing myself. Okay. And see, people don't know what that means. A child does not know what that means. They just know you won't be here. Therefore, you won't have to deal with it anymore. See, they don't realize that when you say suicide, that means death. You will never cease to exist again. Okay, they don't realize the finality of that. But when I was thinking about it, I was thinking, I know where my dad's gun is. I know I've seen this before in movies. So if I do it, then maybe nobody will, I won't have to deal with this. Nobody will beat me up anymore. I just won't have to deal with it. See, that was the thought process. But see, I did not know what death really meant, which was you cease to exist. And that is what I do not wish on anybody, because if those guys had not helped me and I had continued to go down a bad psychological spiral, that might well have been the case. And I know there are a lot of kids out here who do not have that kind of protection or are not lucky enough to have had that kind of protection. So I'm just going to say, pay attention to your kids. I know you're busy. I know you're working. I know things get in the way. I know all of that. I'm saying pay attention to your children, because sometimes they're going through stuff you have no idea. And just because they're kids doesn't mean they don't understand. Okay, so I just told you all the story. I know some of you might have gone through something like that, but I'm going to check on some. I kind of went back to that headspace for just a second, but let's go down to some things here. Yes. K.A. says she went to Chicago public schools. I went to Chicago College. I went to college in Chicago, and I was still kind of afraid to go to the city of Chicago because I didn't want to be shot. That's what I was thinking. I became reclusive and going to public school. Me too. All right. So same thing. All right. Very true. Good stuff. Marcus Macon. Hey, cousin. Great story. I've been there. All right. That's my cousin. And my cousin Marcus, he's taller than me. I'm 6'3", right? So my cousin Marcus, he's like 6'6", 6'7". And, you know, he's kind of a menacing guy. But still, when you're small, and you're young, you're skinny, people just tend to mess with you. And I just don't understand how other people, they don't step in. Your friends, they kind of stand back and let it happen. And sometimes you just feel like it's a hopeless situation. So I was just like, wow, some of this stuff is really, it's just hitting me. And I hope that you guys are really paying attention to your children, how they feel. Did something change? Are they having these issues? When you ask them what's wrong, are they just saying nothing, but their demeanor is just on the negative side? Are their grades dropping? Are their friends not coming over like they used to? Stuff like that. And if you guys want to see something where it's actually personified, I want you to go on Netflix and find a series. It's a series called 13 Reasons Why. And I usually don't watch stuff about teenagers because usually it's stupid. This thing was so psychologically deep, I could not fathom how good this was written, because it almost had to be written by somebody who was getting bullied in their life. It was that good. All right, so if you guys get a chance, 13 Reasons Why on Netflix, take a look at it. Okay, take a look at it. Now, we got some stuff here. All right, I see. So Amor, good. Raphael, that is a excellent point. Excellent point. I can't stand so-called friends who stand back and do nothing. They're not real, in my opinion. I mean, they're children. You know, it's not like they don't understand the concept of having your back. You see, let's say, for instance, I was getting bullied, and my cousin Marcus at this age was standing right behind me. He's not going to stand there and let me go through that or be bullied, kicked around, guys jump me. That ain't going to happen. Same thing with me with him. All right. We will both die before I let him get beat, jumped, whatever in the street. However, when you're a kid, you think having your back is when your friend gets his ass kicked, you're supposed to be there to pick him up and it's all right and dust off his clothes and that kind of, but that's how children think. They don't think like, oh, if you touch Johnny, you're going to deal with both of us because we both going to be up in yours. Okay, that's the way you should be thinking. But kids, see, they don't have that logic, and a lot of times kids don't know how to overcome fear like that. So when they see one of their friends get beat up, they're almost traumatized on the spot to the point where they don't want to help. Okay, so good stuff. That's why I don't have friends, because I'll beat their ass for not helping me as an adult. All right, so gold mouth, don't do that. All right, don't get ghetto on your friends. All right, hopefully it never comes to that. But remember, let your children, you can be there, but let your children fight as long as it's fair. Because my dad did the same thing. He was like, if you're going to get in a fight, I'm not going to let people jump you. But if it's just you and another boy, y'all go at it. And if you lose, you lose. But at least you know it's going to be fair. Okay, that's what my dad did. But as far as I'm just a little crazy. All right. So wait a minute. It says friends don't stand up for you because they don't want to get in trouble, which shows their loyalty lies with the system rather than with you. All right. So, you know, by default, it does turn out to be that way, Liz. Liz, I have to agree with you. Teach your kids to speak up and help people out when they're getting bullied. Nisi, you are correct. You don't let other people be bullied. You don't let other people be abused when you know that you can do something about it. And I have to full-heartedly agree with you on that. So very excellent point. Excellent point. Now, I brought up some heavy things in my story because I want to get personal, because I want to, if somebody else watches this and they are being bullied, I want them to know that sometimes what you're thinking about is not the thing you should be thinking about as far as getting out of the situation. However, I do want you to pick up more coping skills in order to deal with this kind of stuff, and the kids can do it too. Now, in kids, it's not going to be too complicated. They're human beings, adults, we have picked up coping mechanisms, and we have more complicated ways of thinking things. We can see the different angles of a situation to see how this will play out in our minds before it actually ever happens. However, children do not have that cognition yet. Therefore, they will react in the moment and not realize the repercussions of what could happen later. So suicide, that's one thing. Fighting a bully back. Somebody said earlier, they might get in trouble for fighting back. Well, I'm going to fully encourage my kid, no matter what the system says, that you will fight back, and you are my son, so I do not want you harmed or injured because you are afraid to fight back. So the whole thing is, you do have to fight back for yourself, and sometimes that can be verbal. Sometimes that could be in the form of taking back a play spot that you guys used to have that a bully is now taking over, and you're going to come there no matter what. Sometimes it doesn't have to be fighting. Sometimes it can be nonviolent protests against this kind of behavior, kind of like the civil rights movement, or Martin Luther King Jr. and the other civil rights leaders who actually did things and got a lot of things done with nonviolence. Now, provided they had to, because if they lashed back out at these at the Caucasian race who was actually perpetrating this racism on them, like we're kind of going through right now today, what's going to happen? They come down on you with a force, and they're just looking for an excuse so they can try to get rid of a whole bunch of you at once. Okay, sometimes that happens with kids in schools. Okay, now it's hard in the inner city school, because there's so much bullying, there's so much sexual abuse, there's so much, inappropriate language, so many inappropriate advances towards young ladies, young men. I mean, young men in sports are being raped in the football locker room as a hazing ritual, trying to disguise the fact that they're gay. They're trying to treat it as a form of abuse to initiate somebody. No, you're gay, and you're trying to hide it with your gay gangbang buddies in the locker room. Okay, I know this stuff is going on, and these are major, intense forms of bullying other people. I mean, I remember when I was in a swimming pool with two other kids during day camp, and they were trying to bully me. And one of these kids, he was trying to pick at me, and I would notice little digs he would try to do the whole time, right? And I was just like, okay, I don't think this kid likes me, but because I'm not hanging out with anybody else, I continue to hang around these little jerks, right? And one day, we are in the swimming pool, and this little dude tries to push my head underwater. And he did not expect me, because he'd been picking at me for a while, and I didn't do anything. So when he held my head underwater, I punched him in the nuts. All right. I choked. I put my hand in his throat, just like that. And so he almost choked and drowned in the pool. I threw water on his face. All right. And I was just like, don't you ever touch me again. And his little friend who hung out with him, he was like, oh, he fought back, and he had that look on his face. So I was just like, yes, and I will throw your ass in the pool too. See, I learned from earlier in life that if you let people take advantage of you, they will. And I wasn't going to let these little jerk-offs intimidate me like the one guy, just because he was bigger in elementary school, did. So I learned that camp, SIU Edwardsville, is where I went to camp as a kid, because my dad worked there. So I was just saying, okay, this stuff happens. So stand up sometimes, you know. You'll be surprised at how people back off once you assert yourself. Okay, let me get to some more comments here. All right, I only got a few more minutes. I got like 10 more minutes. All right, so it says, let me see, laugh my ass at too extreme. Okay, the teacher is paying attention for real. They will know kids' character. Okay, I agree with that. Okay, KA, you are definitely right. All right. I know who my bullies are, and they know I don't play. I don't care if it's in the school or not. All right. That's what I'm saying. All right. So somebody who's paying attention out there, because in my high school, I can name the teachers who paid attention. And we had 70-something students in East St. Louis Senior High. So let me see. I can remember Mr. Solomon. I remember Mr. Negocian. He was my chemistry teacher. I can remember Mr. Fletcher, because he was my biology teacher. And let me see. Can I remember anybody else who really gave a damn? Miss Hasenstaub did, okay? Even though I didn't like her, but she did care. All right, but there you'll notice the teachers who actually take an interest, because when your child does bad, they'll contact you. When your child does bad, they'll write a note on their homework to let you know that you need to help your child with this. If your child, these are the teachers who actually, they'll stay after class and they'll talk to you for a minute, just as, you kind of stepped out of line there. Why did you do that? That kind of thing. All right. So sometimes it's better. Okay. And let me see. I say Raphael, think about it, amazing teacher, but talking in class, I don't want my ass kicked. Raphael, stop it. All right, so that's right. Marcus says, I was bullied when I moved from Chicago back to East St. Louis because I was smart and I talked proper. See, that's another thing. All right, that is why I played basketball. That is the only way to use the weight room at school. That was the only way to use the weight room at school. That's right. And that's the only way I used it at college. Okay. Because usually it was the athletes in there. And because I went to a predominantly white school, white private school, Catholic school in Chicago, in the suburbs of Chicago, same thing. The only reason we would be able to get in there and everything wasn't taken, or people were like, get the hell out of here, is because you were on the basketball team. And that's the only reason I got to lift weights, run drills, and do all that stuff. Because, and Marcus, you are exactly right. You talk a little proper, act like you know what you're talking about, and people start picking on you like, oh, you one of them smarty-arty motherfuckers, huh? You one of them people who think they too good. You think you better than them. No, I just want to learn. All right. I want to put something else in my brain that will help my life improve. That's all it is. So when somebody says some stuff like that to me now, yeah, I do want to learn. Yeah, I'm a smart ass man. That's right. Because I don't cease learning ever. All right. And whenever I research it, I go deep into the research and I want to know more about it. I want to know how I can find how this works with the human body. Can this be cured? Is what they're saying on television true to what I see in a physiology book that will tell me the opposite? That's the kind of stuff. And if a child is certain in the way that they feel about their education, about their life, about their family, there's nothing that can hold them back, not even bullying. See, that's what we need. We have to have empowerment. See, we need teachers like KA here who don't play. I'm the same way in my classroom. I teach a college classroom. It's like teaching high school, because even the 60-year-old people act childish when you put them in a classroom setting. And I could not believe that. I was like, you 65 and you're trying to bully people? And I said, it was a 68-year-old. I will remember this. It was a little sawed off, 5'4", 68-year-old man who was sitting in my class, and somebody bumped into his chair as they were walking by, scooting by to get to their chair. And he says, man, you need to watch where you're going. And I heard him, and I immediately looked over there, and a few minutes later, he's looking at the guy and he says, do you want to take this outside? And I said, no, let's me and you take this outside. And I said, you will never talk to another student of mine like that in my classroom. And if you do, you're going to be expelled, and you will never set foot on another Pima campus for the rest of your life. You don't come in here bullying other students. I don't know. And I wanted to just go off and just cuss them out. But as an instructor, you kind of have to be professional, right? And at this point, I teach because I love to teach. I really don't give a fuck about the administration. I really don't give a fuck about the school district and their guidelines. You know what? Because when I do it my way, the students learn. You see, when you do stuff the real way, authentic, where they feel that you care, that's when they learn. They don't learn because you put a rubric in front of them and say, these are the school guidelines, and we're going to test this standardized test. And when you guys get your scores to this level, then we'll pin a star or a little ribbon on your chest, and we'll say that you guys are excellent students. That doesn't teach anybody life skills. That doesn't teach anybody how to deal with life. There are no coping skills. There's no building mechanisms in that. Nothing. So be authentic with your children, and I guarantee they'll respond a lot better. Parents, if your kids are being bullied, it works better. Instead of trying to come from the like, I got the manual of child development here, and it says right here in chapter 4, paragraph 2, that you should do this with your child and everything should work out fine. Books are bullshit. It's a guideline. You can use it to get some ideas, but then you have to take your life. You have to take your situation. You have to take your kid's personality, and see how that works together. It's not a do this, and you get that. Life don't work that way. Okay? So let's see here. I got a few. All right. All right. And KA says, I do care. And that's why I do what I do. I swear you're my kindred soul. Probably, probably. All right. So good stuff. So true. All right. Thank you. Thank you. It says, all right. No, gold mouth. We're not going to teach him to fight. We're not going to teach him to fight. All right. So let's see. Raphael said, the time I fought with a kid, we both had scratches, so I don't know who was the winner. That's all you need to do. That's a great point, Raphael. If you are you got a big bully and he sees the littlest kid and he goes after that kid, and that kid, even though he might lose, he tore some skin out of that ass. I mean, he kicked him in the knee. He limping, the bully's limping when he walk away. I guarantee, even though the little small kid lost the fight, that bully will not mess with him anymore because he knows what he's going to get if he encounters him again. See, that's what you see. You don't have to win. You just got to be scrappy, and then people leave you alone. Okay, so I've noticed that even in adults, even in conversation, if you do that, people will leave you alone. Okay. All right, let me see. Learn more out of school. Nisi, that's all of us. I'm telling you, you have never said a truer statement. I did not learn a damn thing that I could remember in school. All of my learning came on my own when I really gave a damn about it, not when I was forced to do it in school. And you know you're being forced to do it in school. You know you don't want to go to school. And some little kids, I was really good at school, but I always questioned. And my mom and dad looked at me strange one day because when they were helping me with my homework, I was doing math. And I asked my parents, I said, why am I doing this? And they gave me the standard answer. Well, math is important and it's going to help you later on in life. So you need to learn this because you need to learn how to balance a checkbook and all this stuff. And I asked, you know how kids are, I asked my parents, I said, well, do you guys use this on your job? And I saw my mom and dad look at each other. And my dad said, don't look at me. And then my mom said, no, I can't tell you the truth, not much. And I said, then why am I doing it? Well, because it's important. All right, so just do it. All right, that's what we do to our kids. See, there was no good reason. That's why they don't want to learn it, because there is no practical application for it. And math is important if you want to go into certain fields and things like that. But stuff like basic mathematic functions that you can do on a calculator and stuff like that, is that really something we need to learn in school? Not really. No, it's not. All right. And if you want to learn math, you'll learn it on your own. I have a little book called Easy Math or Shortcut Math. And I got a couple of them because I wanted to learn how to do math in my head. So that's when I found math was interesting, when I started learning it on my own. See, that makes it very hard to bully a person like me or a person who likes to learn, because you know who you are now, and it's almost impossible. See, it's tough to ingrain that into a kid because they don't know who they are. They know who you tell them they are, and that is the problem. So some kids, I mean, as early as 5 years old, they'll stand up in your face and be like, no, I'm not going to do that. And even if the teacher like, Linda, go to the board and write this problem on the board. And Linda will be like, I already did it on my paper and I did it 6 different ways. So why do you want me to come to the board? They already did the problem. And would you go to the board? I don't think the school, and Linda will sit there at 5 years old, and Linda will be, I don't think the school is psychologically equipped to handle somebody like me. I think I need to be put into a gifted class. And the teacher would be, go to the principal's office. Let them go to the principal's office, because the principal's probably going to say, yeah, Linda, you probably do need to be in a gifted class. So sometimes kids know, but most of them are not going to do that. They're going to say, yes, ma'am. All right. And they're going to go to the board. They're going to write out the problem. Now, I'm not saying to be defiant, okay? But you have to let your kids think for themselves. Don't do everything for them. Let them think for themselves. That helps with the bullying aspect, especially on the verbal level, especially with cyberbullying. Okay? All right. So it says, what book is that? Math, what? All right. So, Goldmouth. It was called Easy Math. And then I have one called Shortcut Math. Okay. So yes, one is written by an Indian guy, and it's actually pretty good as far as teaching you methods on how to do stuff quickly in your head. But they have apps on the App Store, and I downloaded a couple of those. Those are really good because it teaches you how to do complex multiplication and divisions in your head, depending on what number sets you're dealing with. So I was good on that. I actually like that. Now, Let's tell a little boy to wear steel-toed shoes to kick the bullies in the nuts. HT, all right, that might be a good idea, especially if you're getting picked on a lot. So I tried to do too much. I punched the little boy in the nuts in the pool. So I have to agree. That's a good way to get people to leave you the hell alone. All right, over here, this is just too addictive. It's 2:15 a.m. where Raphael is. All right, I love it, Raphael. Thank you for joining me. All right, now I got to get off of here because I got to get ready for this meeting I got to go to, because we're deciding what students we have to identify as problems in the school so we can determine if this course is actually right for them. Now, I'm going to leave you with this, okay? Children are more intelligent than you ever give them credit for. You see, they notice things, they think about things, and they wonder, well, if mom is doing this and they're telling me that, then what is going on here? I want you guys to really think about what's going on as far as the repercussions of what could happen as a result of letting your child think for yourself. And I'm thinking about this in a positive way. I want you to empower your kids to stand up for themselves. I don't give a fuck who they're standing up to. And that means that on another little bully, another kid trying to guide them in a bad direction, a teacher who's giving them generic advice that will benefit them not in the least. They don't have to do it rudely. Nobody's had to say they stand. I'm not going to do that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, well, inquire. Why? Why do you want us to get in groups? Why do you want us to play these games? Is this just something to waste my time? All right. Why am I doing busy work when I should be doing English? You know, stuff like that. Your kids have the ability to question. Let them do it. And I want you to take it to this level. Let me draw this comparison. I'm going to show you how elementary school, a middle school, a high school is a prison. Do you know of a set of people called truancy officers? You probably do. Truancy officers are people sent out or hired by the school district to recollect your children and bring them back to school in case they get out. So if your children break out of prison, I mean school, and decide to have a little fun, there is a group of semi-self-righteous security officers, ready and willing, paid to bring your children back to the prison school. If my child wants to go out and they want to skip school for a day because they feel they need it, and they let me know, you know what, Dad, I'm not feeling this today. I'm gonna take some time. I'm gonna go over to Tommy's house. We're just gonna chill for a little bit, and I'm just not gonna go to school. If my kid is a straight A student, a B student, they've got all good grades, they've never missed a day of school, and they just need some time, go have the damn time. Okay, have fun with your friends. Just come back and let me know what's going on. I don't want a group of vigilantes running down my child and bringing them back to your fucking institutionalized prison so that you can indoctrinate your standardized tests and your set of rigid policies onto my kid's brain so that they can be a useless automaton, slave-like employee for the rest of their life. I want them to be able to think freely and do for themselves, which is the point that if we get there, then bullying will not be existent. Let your children think for themselves. When a child asks you for the answer, tell them to work it out and see how and why, and then you can help them after they've tried. But let them try, let them fail, and that includes situations in life. Okay? Let them do it. Because if they can stand up for themselves in these areas, they'll definitely stand up for themselves against the bully. I'll talk to you all later. All right, so I got to get out of here. It's getting a little late. I really do appreciate all of you who have stopped by this morning, who have given your time to help make this a very good thing. Share this video with people who may benefit from it. I don't care if they're getting bullied or not. At some point in time in life, everyone will get bullied. So please, please, please share this video. Bring as many people as you can. 8:30 tomorrow morning, we're going to do the same thing. And that is it. I'll talk to you all later. I got to get out of here. This is Alvin J, the most passionate non-doctor, remember, non-doctor on the internet. Marcus, big cousin, I'll talk to you soon. Give me a call when you get a chance. I got some stuff to do right now, but give me a call this weekend. I'm going to go visit some friends and stuff, so it'll be all good. And let me see. All right. I did. All right, Raphael, I'm going to answer you one last question. I'm going to get out of here, so I'll see you tomorrow. But Raphael says, did you ever watched anime? Of course I have. One of my favorite anime movies is something I watched when I was like 12 years old, and it was called The Fist of, I can't remember exactly the name of it. Dang, it was so long ago. I can't remember, but you probably know what it is. I'll talk to you later. You guys are out of here. All right, see you later. Goodbye. All right, so see you tomorrow. Come on, show up, 8:30. All right, bullying. We're going to talk about the next thing, which is going to be the bully ease solution. Okay, the bully ease solution. I'll talk to you later. Peace. We're out of here. Later.